Bray Wyatt began his WWE career under the ring name Husky Harris, appearing on Season 2 of NXT in 2010. At the time, NXT was formatted as a reality competition series, pairing developmental wrestlers with established WWE mentors. Harris was coached by Cody Rhodes and introduced with a tagline, "A tank with a Ferrari engine," which highlighted his blend of bulk and agility. Despite the branding, Harris lacked distinct character traits and struggled to connect with the audience. Later that year, Harris joined the main roster as part of the Nexus, a rebellious faction made up of NXT rookies. During the group's second phase, led by CM Punk, Harris served as an enforcer-type character but was rarely given mic time or meaningful storylines. His on-screen presence was limited to background roles in group attacks and multi-man matches. In early 2011, Harris was removed from television following a scripted injury angle where Randy Orton delivered a storyline punt to his head. The real reason for his exit was WWE's lack of confidence in the Husky Harris persona. He was sent back to Florida Championship Wrestling, WWE's developmental system at the time, to undergo a full character reinvention. This period allowed him to reevaluate his presentation, develop stronger promo skills, and begin experimenting with the early elements of the Bray Wyatt character. Bray Wyatt, the Swamp Cult leader. Bray Wyatt re-emerged in WWE's developmental system in 2012 with a completely reinvented character. Drawing from Southern Gothic horror, he portrayed a backwoods cult leader who delivered cryptic monologues styled like sermons. The persona emphasized psychological control over violence, positioning Wyatt as a manipulative force rather than a traditional villain. His slow, deliberate cadence and surreal storytelling were influenced by characters like Max Cady from Cape Fear and the short-lived Waylon Mercy from 1995 WWE. Wyatt led a faction called the Wyatt Family, featuring Luke Harper and Eric Rowan as his silent followers. Their early vignettes introduced the trio with unsettling visuals, rocking chairs, lanterns, and distorted speech, creating an aura of menace before they even wrestled. They debuted on the main roster in 2013 by attacking Kane, establishing themselves as anarchic disruptors rather than competitors chasing titles. Between 2013 and 2015, Bray Wyatt engaged in major feuds with John Cena, Daniel Bryan, and The Shield. These rivalries were built around Wyatt's attempt to psychologically break his opponents using manipulation and symbolism instead of direct threats. However, despite his complex promos and unique presence, Wyatt frequently lost these high-stake matches, most notably to Cena at WrestleMania 30. This pattern weakened his credibility, creating a disconnect between his words and his in-ring results. By 2015, the character faced diminishing returns. Wyatt's sermons became repetitive, and the faction's mystique declined due to inconsistent booking. While the cult leader gimmick laid the foundation for his future personas, it ultimately stalled without character development or narrative payoff. Bray Wyatt, the Eater of Worlds. In 2015, Bray Wyatt's character shifted from cult leader to a more overtly supernatural entity. While his appearance and mannerisms remained similar, his rhetoric changed. He began referring to himself as a force beyond human comprehension, using phrases like Eater of Worlds to portray himself as a cosmic threat rather than a mortal villain. His promos became more abstract, invoking apocalyptic imagery, spiritual damnation, and undefined powers tied to darkness and fear. This version of Wyatt engaged in high-profile feuds with Roman Reigns, The Undertaker, and Kane, relying on theatrical segments such as arena blackouts, cryptic monologues, and symbolic video vignettes. He was presented as a mystical disruptor who targeted figures of strength and legacy, yet rarely emerged victorious. At Survivor Series 2015, he teamed with Luke Harper against The Undertaker and Kane in a match built around legacy and darkness, only to lose clean, further diminishing the threat level of his character. In 2016, Wyatt entered a long-term feud with Randy Orton that marked the most storyline-heavy arc of this era. Initially, Orton appeared to join the Wyatt family after being psychologically broken down by Bray. The alliance seemed sincere until Orton turned on Wyatt, burning down the Wyatt family compound in a symbolic act of erasing Bray's power. This feud elevated Wyatt to the WWE Championship, which he won at Elimination Chamber 2017. However, the payoff to this storyline occurred at WrestleMania 33, where Wyatt lost the title to Orton in a match criticized for its experimental visual effects, such as insect projections on the ring canvas, and its lack of substance. Despite entering the event as a champion, Wyatt was positioned as a transitional figure in Orton's redemption arc, undercutting the momentum his title win had generated. During this era, Wyatt's in-ring style remained methodical, emphasizing psychology over athleticism. His promos leaned further into riddles and symbolic language, but without consistent victories or defined supernatural rules, the character's mystique began to wear thin. The Eater of Worlds was conceptually ambitious but creatively unstable, leaving Wyatt once again in need of reinvention by the end of 2017. Bray Wyatt, the Woken Alliance. In 2018, Bray Wyatt briefly aligned with Matt Hardy, who had revived his eccentric Woken persona in WWE. This partnership followed a cinematic match called The Ultimate Deletion, filmed at Hardy's private compound and aired on Monday Night Raw. In the final segment, Wyatt was thrown into the Lake of Reincarnation, a fictional body of water within the storyline meant to transform or erase a wrestler's persona. This marked the end of the Eater of Worlds character and the beginning of a rebranded version of Bray. Wyatt and Hardy formed a tag team called the Deleters of Worlds, combining their surreal styles into one act. Bray adopted new attire, trimmed his hair, and began speaking in shorter, less ominous phrases, often echoing Hardy's fragmented theatrical language. He no longer delivered solo promos or acted as a dominant antagonist. Instead, he played a sidekick role within the Woken universe, functioning as an unpredictable but less threatening character. The team won the Raw Tag Team Championships at the greatest Royal Rumble ever event in April 2018, defeating Cesaro and Sheamus. While the victory gave Wyatt his first tag team title in WWE, the reign itself received minimal focus. The team rarely defended the titles on television and were not involved in any long-term rivalries. They lost the belts in July and quietly disbanded shortly after. This phase of Bray Wyatt's career was brief but intentional. It allowed WWE to remove him from the supernatural-heavy booking that had defined his previous run without discarding his credibility entirely. Though creatively limited, the Woken Alliance created an exit point for the older character and opened the door for a full reinvention after a prolonged absence from TV. Bray Wyatt, Firefly Funhouse Bray. In April 2019, Bray Wyatt returned to WWE television after nearly a year-long absence with a completely reimagined character. He appeared in pre-recorded segments as the host of a surreal children's show called the Firefly Funhouse. Dressed in a red sweater and khakis, Wyatt spoke in a calm, upbeat tone, addressing the audience as if they were young viewers. Surrounding him were puppets like Ramblin' Rabbit, Mercy the Buzzard, Abby the Witch, and Huskus the Pig Boy, each symbolizing a distorted version of past personas' feuds or personal flaws. The Firefly Funhouse segments allowed Wyatt to reframe his identity through irony and contrast. He used simplified, almost childlike language and often broke the fourth wall to subtly reference his earlier character failures. These segments combined bright, cheerful visuals with abrupt tonal shifts, signaling that the host persona was making something more violent and unstable beneath the surface. Within these vignettes, Wyatt introduced an unseen alter ego called the Fiend, described as a dark force that protected him. The Fiend was teased through sudden static, jump cuts, and distorted voices, but was never fully shown during this phase. The use of horror-style editing techniques built anticipation and made it clear that this second persona was a manifestation of Wyatt's repressed trauma and rage. Wyatt did not appear in the ring or live segments during this phase. His presence was confined to tightly produced vignettes, which gave WWE full control over his character's tone, pacing, and narrative direction. This format functioned as a hard reset, separating him from previous gimmicks and establishing a character built around psychological duality and internal conflict. Bray Wyatt, The Fiend. In July 2019, Bray Wyatt debuted The Fiend, a masked, monstrous alter ego representing his repressed rage and trauma. Introduced by attacking Finn Balor on Raw, The Fiend was silent, brutal, and portrayed as a supernatural force. His mask was created by special effects artist Tom Savini, and his matches were presented with red lighting, eerie sound design, and exaggerated violence. The Fiend targeted wrestlers who'd wronged Bray in the past, including Kurt Angle, Jerry Lawler, and Seth Rollins. At Hell in a Cell 2019, The Fiend challenged Rollins for the Universal Championship, but the match ended controversially in a referee stoppage, despite the no disqualification rules. Backlash was immediate. To recover, WWE had The Fiend win the title at Crown Jewel later that month. Over the next year, The Fiend feuded with Daniel Bryan, Braun Strowman, and John Cena. His match against Cena at WrestleMania 36 was a pre-taped Firefly Funhouse match that used surreal visuals to deconstruct Cena's legacy, earning praise for its creativity during WWE's empty arena pandemic era. In late 2020, The Fiend feuded with Randy Orton. Their storyline climaxed at TLC, where Orton set The Fiend on fire. Wyatt returned in 2021 with a scorched costume, but lost to Orton at WrestleMania 37 after being distracted by Alexa Bliss, who had turned into a dark, magical figure within the storyline. The angle was abruptly dropped, and Bray Wyatt was released by WWE in July 2021. Bray Wyatt, The Return, and Uncle Howdy. Bray Wyatt returned to WWE at Extreme Rules 2022 following a viral campaign that used QR codes, glitches, and White Rabbit teasers. When he finally appeared, Wyatt spoke as himself, no mask, no gimmick, thanking fans and addressing personal struggles. This version of Bray blurred the line between character and reality. He delivered introspective promos in near darkness, reflecting on identity, failure, and grief. These segments introduced a masked figure called Uncle Howdy, who mocked or challenged Bray's words. Though never fully explained, Howdy was positioned as either Bray's inner demon or an external manipulator, continuing the theme of fractured identity. Wyatt's only in-ring feud during this run was with LA Knight. Their rivalry led to the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match at Royal Rumble 2023, a neon-lit, heavily branded bout criticized for prioritizing style over substance. Soon after, Wyatt disappeared from television due to reported health issues. The Uncle Howdy storyline was left unresolved. This final version of Bray Wyatt aimed to humanize the myth. It stripped away the theatrics and exposed the psychological core, but the story ended before it could evolve. Bray Wyatt, The Legacy. Bray Wyatt, born Windham, Rotunda, died on August 24, 2023 at the age of 36 due to a heart attack reportedly connected to complications from a prior COVID-19 infection. His death was confirmed by WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Levesque and led to an immediate industry-wide response. WWE aired a tribute episode of SmackDown featuring a 10-bell salute. Wyatt's career is defined by character reinvention. Each persona, from Husky Harris to The Fiend, had distinct visual design, promo structure, and in-ring presentation. He moved away from traditional wrestling archetypes, focusing instead on psychological storytelling, horror elements, and layered symbolism. His use of cinematic vignettes and dual personas introduced new pacing and narrative styles to WWE programming. Wyatt's influence is observable in several modern characters. The White Rabbit campaign used to tease his 2022 return demonstrated how non-match storytelling through QR codes, hidden messages, and online interactivity could drive sustained fan engagement without physical appearances. Bray Wyatt's contributions reshaped how WWE presented character depth, long-form mystery, and thematic continuity in modern storytelling.